Dawson's Creek. Shifting into overdrive. Chapter 7. The Wrong Clothes. Dawson and Pacey came out of a subway station and walked towards the Plaza Hotel. They were wearing casual shirts and blue jeans. Dawson was carrying his video camera. The boys' shirts were clean, but they had been wearing their jeans since Friday morning. They weren't correctly dressed for a formal party. "I'm worried, Pacey," Dawson said to his friend. "No one invited us to this party. Maybe the people at the hotel won't let us go in. If they do let us go in, maybe the girls will be angry with us." "Dawson, you worry too much," Pacey said. He laughed. "You wanted to be with Joey this weekend. Now I've brought you here. Are you happy? No, you're worrying about everything. Be calm, Dawson. Everything will be okay. I'm right. I'm always right. You know that." "Pacey," Dawson replied, "don't be a fool. When you have to choose what to do, you always do the wrong thing. Everyone knows that. You have a reputation for it. You always do and say the wrong things." The two boys entered the hotel. Pacey walked over to the reception desk. A man was sitting behind it. He was the reception clerk. He helped guests and visitors. "There is a 16th birthday party here tonight," Pacey said to the clerk. "Where can we find it?" "Maybe you've made a mistake, young man," the reception clerk told him. "There is a party here tonight, in the Rose Room, but the people at that party are all wearing formal clothes. It can't be the party that you're looking for." "Okay," Pacey said. "I'm sorry. Maybe we did come to the wrong place." He walked away from the reception desk towards the elevators. Dawson followed him. A minute later, they were entering the Rose Room. The room was full of men wearing tuxedos and women wearing long formal dresses. An orchestra was playing old-fashioned dance music. It was not the kind of music that most teenagers like. A young woman with long red hair came over to the two boys. She looked at their clothes. "Hello," she said. "Can I help you? Maybe you've come to the wrong party." Dawson thought quickly. He held up his video camera. "I'm the videographer," he said. "My name is Mr. Leery. This is my assistant, Mr. Wheeler. We work for a company called Screenplay Video. Courtney's parents asked Screenplay Video to make a film of the party. The company sent us here to make the film." "Didn't the company tell you that this was a formal party?" the girl asked them. "Well, Screenplay Video is a big company," Pacey replied. "Maybe we didn't get the complete information." "Well, if you know about Courtney, you must be okay," the girl said. "Please start filming." And she walked away. Dawson lifted the camera to his face and looked through the viewfinder. He shot a few seconds of film. "Well, we got into the party. Now let's find Joey and Jan," Pacey whispered to him. But at that moment, the boys heard a voice behind them. "Who are you, boys? Why are you here?" the voice asked. Dawson and Pacey turned around. A beautiful middle-aged woman in a gray silk dress was talking to them, and next to her was a tall man in a tuxedo. On the man's coat was a badge. The words on the badge were Joseph Surratt Video Services, J. Surratt, Videographer. The woman was looking angrily at Dawson and Pacey. "This is my daughter's party," the woman said. "And this is the gentleman who I asked to make a film of the party. So what are you doing here? If you don't tell me, I'll send for the hotel security staff, and they'll call the police." Joey was very, very angry. For half an hour, she had been looking for Danny. She hadn't found him yet. When I do find him, I'll get the truth from him, she told herself. Did he tell lies about me to Miranda and his other friends? Did he say I had sex with Jan's friend last night? If he told them that, I'll kill him. But Joey couldn't find Danny anywhere, and she couldn't find Jan or Billy either. She was angry with Danny, but she was angry with Jan too. Jan is not a good friend, she thought. She brought me here, then she left me alone. She left me with hundreds of people who I don't know. I'm going to find Danny. I'm going to get the truth from him. Then I'm going to leave this horrible place. A few minutes later, she saw Tucker again. She smiled at him. "Hi," she said. "Oh, hi," he replied sadly. "I'm looking for some friends. Maybe I'll see you later." And he walked quickly away. He doesn't want to talk to me, Joey thought sadly. He believes the rumors about me and Danny. Joey went to the clock where she had left her coat. She didn't want to find Danny now. She didn't want to stay here any longer. She didn't have any money, but she decided to walk back to Jan's apartment. That will be better than staying here a minute longer, she told herself. But as she put her coat on, she heard a voice behind her. "Joelle, where are you going? I've been looking for you." It was Danny's voice. His voice was not clear. It was slurred. He had drunk a lot of alcohol. Joey knew that. She turned around and looked at him. She looked at him with anger and hate. "I've been looking for you too," she said. "Did you tell lies about me to your horrible friends? There is a rumor about me here. Everyone has heard it. The rumor is Jan's friend Joey had sex with Danny last night. She had sex with him an hour after she first met him. So, I want to know something, Danny. Did you start this rumor?" "Well, yes," Danny replied. He laughed. "I've had lots of girlfriends. I can have sex with anyone I want. Everyone knows that. That's my reputation. I want everyone to believe my reputation. You don't want me to lose my reputation, Joelle." He laughed again. "You are a horrible liar," Joey said quietly. "If you ever say my name again to anybody, I will know about it. And if I know that, I will make you very, very unhappy. Now, go away." Joey pushed Danny hard and he almost fell over. Then she turned towards the door. But as she reached the door, she heard people shouting. She heard a voice that she knew well. "We made a mistake," the voice said nervously. "We were hired to make a film of a Sweet 16 birthday party. We came to the wrong party. That's all that happened. We're sorry. We'll leave now." It was Dawson. Joey closed her eyes. "Oh no, this can't be happening to me," she told herself. Dawson and Pacey, dressed in jeans and casual shirts, were standing in the middle of a crowd of angry people. Joey saw Amy and Miranda in the crowd, and she saw Jan's aunt and Courtney too. "I don't believe you! I'm going to call the police now!" Aunt Grace shouted. Joey looked at the two boys. "They followed us here," she told herself. "Dawson won't leave me alone. This is terrible. I'm so angry with him." This was true. But Joey was angry with Jan and her friends and family too. Suddenly she knew what to do. She spoke to Jan's aunt. "Don't call the police," she said. "This is my mistake. I invited them here." "You invited them?" Aunt Grace shouted. "Why?" Courtney was standing next to her mother. She looked angrily at Joey. "It's my party," Courtney said. "Why did you invite people to it? I don't know you. Nobody here knows you." "Well, Danny knows her," Miranda said in a cold, cruel voice. "He knows her very well. Lots of boys know her very well. Isn't that true, Joelle?" People in the crowd laughed. At that moment, Jen arrived. She looked around her. Quickly, she understood what was happening. "Your horrible friend invited these terrible boys to my daughter's party," Aunt Grace said to her. "Poor people from bad families do that kind of thing. Take her away from here." "No, that's wrong, Aunt Grace," Jan said calmly. "Joey didn't invite them. I invited them." Courtney screamed. "You did this to ruin my party," she shouted at Jan. "I hate you." Suddenly Dawson spoke. "Jan and Joey didn't know about this," he said to Jan's aunt. "They didn't invite us. That is the truth. We followed them here. We apologize, Courtney. We're very sorry. We will leave when you've apologized to Jan." "You must be crazy," Courtney shouted. "I'm not going to apologize to her. I hate her. I've always hated her." Then Joey heard another voice. It was a very slurred voice. It was Danny's voice. "Joelle," Danny said. He almost fell over as he walked up to her. "You are still here. You couldn't leave without me." He laughed, and he looked around at his friends. "Joelle couldn't leave without me," he told them. "You are a liar, and you are drunk," Joey said quietly. "I told you never to say my name again." Then she hit Danny very hard across the face. He fell to the floor. "I think the movie ends here," Dawson said. "It's time for our exit from this scene." He held Joey's arm, and Pacey held Jen's arm. The four friends walked out of the room. Chapter 8. Pacey does the right thing. The next day, the four friends were sitting in Pacey's father's truck. They were on their way home to Cape Side. They had stayed the night at Jan's apartment, but now they had to get back home. "I have to be home before my dad and my brother get back from the police convention on teenage crime," Pacey told the girls. "They didn't know about this trip to New York. I borrowed the truck, but I didn't ask them first." There weren't many cars on the road, but the weather was terrible. Rain was falling heavily. Pacey had to drive slowly. The four teenagers didn't say much. Each of them was thinking. Jen was thinking about the angry phone call that she'd had from her aunt that morning. "You ruined my daughter's party," her aunt had told her angrily. "You brought that horrible girl from Cape Side. The young man that she hit spent the night in a hospital. We had to go there with him. When your horrible friend hit him, she broke his nose. And you are as bad as she is. I know all about you, young lady. I know. Goodbye, Aunt Grace," Jen had said, and she had put the phone down in the middle of her aunt's sentence. When Billy had phoned Jan a little later, she had done the same thing. She hadn't listened to him. She'd put the phone down while he was still speaking. Going back to New York was a mistake, she told herself now. It was a big mistake. Joey was thinking about Dawson. Before they went to their bedrooms the night before, she'd told him a lot of things. She was angry about what he had done. She had told him this. "You have to leave me alone, Dawson," she had said. "You have to leave me in peace. I've told you that before. I want to meet other boys. All my life I've only known you. Are you the right person for me? I won't know about that until I've known some other boys." "I made a mistake this weekend, I know that," she went on. "I saw Danny at a club and suddenly my life changed. It happened in a moment. I didn't have a choice about it. I didn't choose to feel like that about him. But when I saw him, I wanted to spend time with him. I felt excited about him. Danny was dangerous and he made me nervous. That excited me. He wanted to be with me very much. I didn't understand what he really wanted from me." "I don't want to hear about Danny," Dawson had said. "You must hear about him," Joey had replied. "I need to tell you about him. I made a mistake. I chose the wrong guy." "But I have to make my own mistakes, Dawson. You can't control my life. Please don't try to do that." Then she'd looked at her best friend, the boy who she had loved since they were children. Suddenly, she'd felt very sorry for him. "I'll always be your friend, Dawson," she'd said. "But at this time, we must only be friends, and no more than that." "I like Dawson," Joey had continued. "I love you in a special way. If I lost your friendship, I'd be terribly unhappy. But I don't want to be your girlfriend. I don't want you to be angry with me all the time. I want to tell you about the other people I meet. I want to tell you about my feelings for them. I want us to be honest with each other. I want you to be my best friend again. Do you understand?" "I understand, Joey," Dawson had replied sadly. "You want me to forget my feelings for you. You want me to be someone who you can talk to. You want to tell me about the people who are in love with you. I can't be that kind of friend for you, Joey. I'm sorry. Good night." And he turned and left the room. Joey had been surprised. She always chose the exits from their scenes together. She always spoke the last words in their scenes. But last night, she hadn't been able to say any more. Joey was thinking about that as Pacey drove the truck carefully back towards their little seaside town. And Dawson was thinking about it too. And he was also thinking about Dixie, the pretty girl from the parking lot in Staten Island. If I could see Dixie again, maybe I wouldn't think about Joey all the time, he thought. Pacey was thinking about his father and his brother. His thoughts weren't happy either. Why do I worry about behaving badly? He asked himself. If I behaved perfectly every day for a year, Dad and Doc still wouldn't like me. They would still say, "Pacey, you are a fool. You are a failure." They don't really care what I do, because they don't really care about me. They enjoy making my life difficult. They enjoy punishing me. The four friends were thinking their own thoughts as Pacey drove the truck through the rain. Suddenly, the truck slowed down. Pacey was stopping. A car had broken down at the side of the highway. A small elderly woman was standing next to it. She was looking very unhappy, and she was getting very wet. Pacey looked at his watch. "We can help this lady, and we can still get back to Cape Side before my dad," he told the others. "We can't leave her by her broken-down car." Pacey stopped the truck, and he and Dawson got out. They ran over to the elderly woman. "Thank you for stopping," she said. "You are very kind. I forgot to bring my phone with me. I can't call the garage. Oh, my name is Phyllis Hanover." Pacey and Dawson introduced themselves. Then they looked at the car. One of its tires was flat. There was a hole in the rubber, and all the air had gone. "Is there a spare wheel in the car?" Pacey asked the woman. "If there is, we'll change the wheel for you." But when they got the spare wheel from the back of the woman's car, its tire was flat too. "Oh no," the woman said. "The spare needed repairs. I forgot. I'm so stupid. What shall I do?" The woman was getting wetter and wetter. Her coat wasn't waterproof. The rain was getting through it. Dawson saw this. He helped her remove her wet coat. Then he put his own waterproof jacket around her shoulders. While Dawson was doing this, Pacey went to talk to the girls in the truck. Soon they had made a decision. They all walked over to the lady's car. "This is what we'll do, Mrs. Hanover," Pacey told the elderly lady when he returned. "Joey and Dawson will wait here in your car. They will look after it for you. You and Jen and I will take your spare wheel and we'll go in my truck. We'll look for a garage which can repair your spare tire. Then we'll bring you back here and put the wheel on the car for you." 5 minutes later, Pacey and Jen were driving in the truck with Mrs. Hanover. They were looking for a garage. "The nearest garage is a long way from here," Mrs. Hanover said. "This is so kind of you. Where do you come from, Pacey?" "I live in Cape Side, Massachusetts," Pacey replied. "We all live there." "Pacey's father is the chief of police in Cape Side," Jen told the woman. "We've spent the weekend in New York, and now we're going home." "And I'm making you late," Mrs. Hanover said. "I'm sorry. You're all very kind." Joey and Dawson were sitting in Mrs. Hanover's car. They were trying to keep warm. They were both unhappy. They didn't want to talk about themselves, so they talked about Pacey. "I was surprised when Pacey stopped to help that woman," Joey said. "He has to get home before his father arrives. If we're late, he'll be in terrible trouble. Pacey knows that. But he stopped to help someone." "Yes, I was surprised too," Dawson replied. "He had to choose what to do, and for the first time in his life, Pacey did the right thing." Joey looked at him. "Well, maybe it will be your turn soon, Dawson," she said. "Maybe you'll do the right thing too. Maybe you will make the right choice." And she smiled at him. Chapter 9. Home Again. Dawson opened the door of his house, took off his wet coat, and went into the living room. His parents were waiting for him there. They were watching TV, but his father switched it off when Dawson entered. "Well, Dawson, did you have a good weekend at Pacey's house?" Mr. Leery asked. Dawson sat down. He was in trouble. He knew that. Pacey's father must have phoned his parents already. "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry," the boy said. "I told you a lie. We weren't at Pacey's house. We went to New York City. Joe and Jen went there for a party. We wanted to be with them." "You wanted to follow them," Dawson's father said. "So you and Pacey stole Mr. Wheeler's truck and you went to New York. Are you crazy?" "Maybe I am crazy," Dawson replied sadly. "I don't know, but I was wrong to do what I did. I know that now. I'm very sorry." "Dawson, We have to punish you, Mr. Leery said. We're going to do the only thing that you will understand. We are going to take your video camera away from you for 2 weeks. You can't do that to me, Dawson said. I need my camera for the film class at school. Why didn't you think about that on Friday, before you did this stupid thing? Mr. Leery said angrily. You are the... Then he stopped speaking suddenly. He looked at his wife. That was terrible, he said. I sound like my own father. He always said things like that to me when I was young and crazy. Dad, Mom, Dawson said. It's okay, take my camera. I'd like to tell you I'll never do anything like that again, but I'm a teenager with problems and I'm trying to become an adult. So I probably will do more stupid things, but today I'm very sorry. Oh yes, you'll do many more stupid things. We're sure about that, Mr. Leery said. He laughed. And each time you do something stupid, we'll be here to punish you. Dawson nodded his head. He wasn't unhappy about that idea. He got up and left the room. Pacey was sitting in the living room of his father's house. His father knew all about the trip to New York. Doug Wheeler had returned from the police convention a day early. He had found out about Pacey's trip from Abby Morgan. Abby had enjoyed telling Doug about it, and Doug had enjoyed phoning his father with the news. You are a failure, Pacey, his father told him. Everything in your life is wrong. Every choice you make is wrong. Why can't you be like your brother? I'm sorry, Dad, Pacey said unhappily. I won't do it again. Your apology isn't good enough, Mr. Wheeler said angrily. Why didn't you ask me about borrowing the truck? Because you would have said no, said Pacey simply. Well, that's true, Mr. Wheeler said. But you didn't ask. You stole the truck. While I've been at a convention about teenage criminals, you've become a teenage criminal. There is only one thing to do with you. There is only one thing that you will understand. I'm going to arrest you. You'll be arrested for stealing. Maybe you'll go to jail. I can't help you anymore. And at that moment, the phone started to ring. Mr. Wheeler picked it up. Yes, I'm Chief Wheeler, he said into the phone. Then he was quiet for a while. He was listening to someone who had something to tell him. After a few minutes, he spoke again. Thank you for telling me about this, he said. It was kind of you to call. Did my son ask you to call me? No, I understand. Goodbye. Mr. Wheeler put the phone down, and he looked carefully at his son. That was a lady named Mrs. Phyllis Hanover, he said. She phoned to tell me about you and your friends. You were trying to get back here before I did, but you stopped to help her because she was in trouble, and she tried to give you some money, but you didn't take it. Well, maybe there is something good in you, son. Maybe you'll behave better one day. Are you still going to arrest me, Dad? Pacey asked quietly. No, I'm not going to arrest you, Mr. Wheeler replied. But I don't understand you, Pacey. I don't understand you at all. I don't understand me either, Dad, said Pacey. But I apologize about the truck. And he left the room. Later that evening, Joey picked up her phone. She called Dawson's number and he answered quickly. Hi, Dawson, Joey said. I called to say goodnight. Are your parents very angry with you? Well, I'm still alive, Dawson said. They didn't kill me. Joey, listen to me. I need to tell you something. I do understand what you said about Danny. You saw him and then your life changed. It happened to me too. I met a girl in a parking lot in Staten Island, and everything changed for me. She was a dancer and she was beautiful. I'll never see her again, I know that. But the world is a different place for me too. Why are you telling me this, Dawson? Joey asked. She wasn't happy to hear about Dixie. I want to be honest with you, Joey, Dawson said. You want us to be honest with each other. You want us to be honest about our feelings. You told me that. Suddenly, Joey felt better. Dawson, she whispered. Yes? I only wanted to say your name. Good night. And Joey smiled as she put the phone down.